All I can say to that is stop, no, and don't. Look, come on now. Most of our kith and kindred do not grasp the gravity of the situation. Most of the Moors in general, our kith and kindred, do not mint their own money. They don't set their own monetary policy. They don't have their own items in place to take care of industry, commerce, or trade, journey travel, or transport, ethics, in terms of commerce, sports ethics, things of this nature. They don't have their own standards for food packaging and shelf life. They don't have food handling and storage items in place, and a whole host of other things. And they depend on, for the most part, our kith and kindred, shall I say, depend on others to do that. And in this case, most of our kith and kindred tend to rely on those hostile unto them to do that. It defies logic. And to what everyone has been saying, because it's becoming clearly evident to the masses now, something is terribly wrong. And more folks are coming to the conclusion that they are ill prepared for what they see coming down in front of them. And let's deal with the situation as it is. What some refer to as corporate China. That is a very big problem in the making. The toxic debt, the amount of toxic debt is staggering in the corporate China. Quote unquote, banks are pretty much feeling the weight of the toxic debt. So they're having growth in their non-substance-based economy. However, that growth has not been double-digit for a minute now, and the growth is steadily slowing, partially because of the toxic debt and other things they got to contend with. Their labor force is becoming more senior, more elderly, and the advantage they had from lower wages is evaporating. They are a victim of their own success in that regard, manufacturing for everyone across the planet. Their major trading partners, on the other hand, are corporate Europe and the Eurozone, and the hostiles in the North Amexem. And they've got a fairly decent engagement now in the South Amexem. As they have issues, those issues reverberate elsewhere. And look at what's going on now. What y'all are showing me in your reports makes it plain. Folks are seeing their handwriting on the wall, as some would say. That slowdown is already making its effect felt in corporate Europe, the Eurozone. And what are you seeing? The financial sector, as they call it, is dragging down corporate Europe. The exports and imports that go between corporate China and corporate Europe, there's a decrease. That decrease in activity is impacting the ECB's policies for monetary policy and everything else that's happening in the Eurozone. It's all non-substance based. All of it non-substance based. Those two areas, corporate China and corporate Europe, are causing reverberations. Kush proper is where corporate China began outsourcing to. They're not just building manufacturing plants in Addis Ababa. They're building them all throughout Kush proper. The slowdown is going to impact Kush proper. That's going to impact Buganda, Indoland, Al-Sabara. That's going to impact Kemet, Nubia. It will even impact things as far away as Yemen, Puntland, and the rest of the Kush Peninsula. The Hashemites won't escape that either. All that economic activity slowing down has consequences. Folks got to realize and plan. Now, Look at the biological warfare that's going on. This Ebola scam. This whole scenario impacts the farmers on the west coast of the mother continent in the Moor-Trade region. There are discussions that we have to have. The Grand Ambassador and I already started having particular discussions because we know we have to see where things are relevant unto what reports we're getting from the Bur-Fari for the Moor-Trade region. Or whatever he's reporting to the Sector 4 Ambassador, that's going to be reported to us from the Sector 4 Ambassador. So, the farming of cocoa, cocoa is huge on the west coast of the mother continent. And the farmers, some of them died. That impacts the cocoa industry. Farmers going other things have also been impacted. That makes a very bad scenario for a food shortage. That could impact the Amexem-Moor-Empire nationals, which makes it my business. Our business. So now, these are the things that you have to look at. That we all know that the Moors in general, by their actions, do not. The fair question now becomes, well, where exactly are the Aboriginals, the original man and women, Moor, whatever folks want to call themselves? And where are they in this equation? And more importantly, why have they chosen to take that position? Because you cannot sit on the sidelines. You have to be proactive. You have to be the master of your own destiny. And when we convene and we go through our reports and we have our arguments and our debates and our discussions, the only thing that matters is the results of what we do to deal with that insanity. We don't have credit in this jurisdiction and venue. There is no borrowing. If we don't have it, we don't get it. So we don't owe anyone. We're not in debt. Constitutionally, that's not going to change. Not within this jurisdiction and venue. So we have the advantage. And our monetary policy, we're a substance-based economy, not non-substance. When things get crazy over there, the value of our substance goes up, which means our buying power goes up. What's bad for them, in essence, is great for us. Our folks need to decide what is a practical and sensible approach. All I know is this. And then we can get on to something else. We're going to have to make some conscious decisions here. And I'm not talking about within the Amexem-Moor-Empire. I'm talking about our kith and kindred. They're us too. They better figure it out. Because where they're going right now, depending on someone else, is going to be to their detriment. It doesn't have to be that way. What we make available is a 1.4 billion populated market, a common market, on our own monetary policy. And what we are doing with our fiscal budget laws, the equipment that we're deploying, the materials that we put in place, we are strengthening our infrastructure. And now, 2 Earth years ago, we were just getting operational in Sector 4. Now we're in Sectors 3 and 5. 2 years ago, we weren't moving materials from one continent to another. We are now. The scale might be small, but in the end, you had to start somewhere, and our scale is going to increase. Shipping by the barrel shall give way to shipping by the container. And our 1.4 billion populated common market is going to have access to 2.7 billion folks from Harappa Indus to Malay, Singapore, Korea, Nippon, Ainu, Acta, and Condom. So we're going to have not just the 1.4 billion. In time, as many as 4.2 billion will be part of our market on our own terms. And all we can do is just set the example. If you see what I'm saying here, we set the example of what we do. And folks will either evolve in their mindset. Some maybe do business with us. Some may even come amongst us and establish business with us. The power is what I'm saying is the power is in our hands. The advantage is in our hands. And I've been saying for the past, what, 4 months now? In the end, what this comes down to is the smart money is on us. And I don't know, well, whatever we do with the fiscal budget proposal that's before the Imperial Council now, any variation of whatever becomes the next budget law is only going to strengthen our hand. And it'll be up to us to continue to use practicality and sensibility. Just going forward and just keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. Industry, commerce, and trade on our own terms, on our own monetary policy, is what will allow us to navigate through the madness that's coming down. And if we can do it, anyone can do it. And any of our kith and kindred that choose to flow with us, they have a fair shot. And that's all we can really ask for is a fair shot. And the fair shot is in our hands by our own talent and our own skills. We deploy those talents and skills, logic and reason, be practical and sensible, fair and equitable. We'll draw positive energy. Think it, build it, right? If we do things positively, we sow positive, then we reap positive. So negative, that's a whole nother story entirely.